Hello FPL managers and welcome to the Fantasy Football Hub Game Week 14 preview with me James, and I'm joined by the big man, BigManBakar, who comes to us fresh off another pretty hefty green arrow. Bakar, good game week in Game Week 13.
Absolutely, James. You can see I've been blushing constantly ever since the video started. Yeah, I mean, three back-to-back big green arrows. I've outscored like the top 10K average by 10 or more points successively in three game weeks, which feels like surreal. I've broken into like the top 30 to 31K, which is great at this stage of the season. I'm actually very excited to, that the matches are coming quick and fast. Just keeps the momentum going, hopefully.
When you're in this rich vein of form that you are, you want as many game weeks as possible, and that's exactly what you're going to get over the next few weeks, which is why, guys, we're joining you for the first time ever this season on a Monday. Congratulations, Bakar. 4 game weeks ago or so, I was sat here smug. I was, probably about 60 points ahead of you. And now here we are. 3 points separate us at the moment. I'm not happy at all. But I'm happy for you. Selfishly,
Thank
though,
you.
I'm furious. Guys, we're going to try and keep this preview a little bit briefer just because the two of us are busy on this Monday, and I'm sure you guys are as well. So ahead of Tuesday's 6 o'clock deadline, let's have a quick look at the fixtures. And we'll start with that first fixture on a Tuesday evening. All fixtures this week, by the way, on Amazon Prime, which is quite exciting. Bakar will be able to watch them all. Newcastle versus Norwich. And let's start with this man, who once again, against Arsenal, so a tough fixture, but he did blank again in Game Week 13. Bakar, that's 4 blanks in a row for him now.
Yeah, I mean, I personally I won't judge him on the basis of that one performance. I watched the whole game. He had a good opening to score, but Tavares sort of tracked him back at the end. I personally think that if you own Wilson, you keep him because I think the Norwich fixture should be a good one for Newcastle, despite Norwich their defensive resurgence. I think Wilson should do well. Norwich tend to concede a lot of chances down the middle. They're second worst for chances conceded down the middle this season. They gave away a lot of chances to strikers. Um, Having said that, I won't be buying Wilson this week because only the next two fixtures are tempting. Norwich and Burnley at home. After that, Newcastle have a very horrendous run of fixtures, and there's all the impending yellow card ban which is looming on Wilson as he's on 4 yellows. So it's a case of don't buy, don't sell.
Yeah, okay. It's a must-win for Newcastle, so you would like to think Howe will be as attacking as possible in that potential relegation 6-pointer against Norwich. Also on a Tuesday evening, Leeds versus Crystal Palace. Bakar, and Leeds just looked completely impotent in Game Week 13, didn't they? Not really much attacking output to speak of, not least from this man here, Raphinha. How do you rate his chances going into this Crystal Palace game?
I think it's another case of don't buy, don't sell. Leeds' fixture are actually very similar to Newcastle. They have 2 favorable home games coming up: Crystal Palace at home, Brentford at home. After that, they have a poor run of fixtures. Leeds have been disappointing this season, truth be told. Their big chances per game have dropped from 2 to 1.3. And they're shooting a lot more from outside the box as well. They need to be more direct like they were last season. They're missing Bamford. Having said that, everything they do goes through Raphinha, and I still think he is the budget midfielder to have at this point in time because he's reliable. Um, I would honestly give him a couple of opportunities, and I think it would be the perfect send off gift before you jump to someone like a Jared Bowen in Game Week 16 when West Ham have a good run of fixtures.
We have seen Leeds tighten up a little bit at the back, Bakar. Do you think this is a good fixture if you own a Crystal Palace attacker like, for example, Conor Gallagher?
It's a decent fixture. I'd expect Palace to score, but I don't think they'll run riot.
Okay, fantastic. On to Wednesday evening's fixtures now. And as we always do, we'll go in alphabetical order for the 7:30 kickoffs, which, funnily enough, is actually Southampton versus Leicester. This man, what a hero for you, Bakar, in Game Week 13. If you had the patience to keep Vardy, you were rewarded.
Yeah, thankfully, things fell rightly for him. Madison is back in form now. And I think that's crucial to unlocking Vardy. Maddison created like 5 chances against Watford. So he's back in form. And I think that's going to be crucial to Vardy's potential. Vardy had just the one big chance, and he was very clinical, actually. When you look at his goal from the corner and even the finish that he chipped over the keeper, that wasn't an easy goal to score. He looks like he's back in confidence. I watched the entirety of the game. He was full of confidence. I think this is a very good fixture to keep him now. I don't really see any reason to sell him now that Maddison and Vardy are back in form.
Yeah, he did look very, very good, didn't he? Very much back in vogue. What about other Leicester attackers, Bakar? Would you be looking at Maddison as a potential differential midfielder as well, potentially as a replacement for Raphinha when his fixtures turn?
Maddison has never really been an FPL pick for me. He's never really impressed me with his positioning from an FPL point of view. But what he does is great for Leicester. But it's not probably as direct as I'd want my assets to be in FPL. I'd like to wait and see with Maddison. I think it's a bit too early to jump on him.
Okay. Watford versus Chelsea, another 7:30 kickoff on the Wednesday evening. And we saw the return of the once legendary FPL asset, Marcus Alonso. And it was an interesting performance, wasn't it, Bakar? He looked back to his dangerous best and has also stolen all corners by the looks of things.
Exactly. He was on all corners, which is going to help him in his bonus potential going forward if he keeps on creating chances. Unfortunately, none of his corners yesterday was a successful one, but I think this bodes well for him going forward. I am a huge advocate of the double up. Chelsea, I think, are one of the best defenses in the league, if not the best. In fact, they were a bit rusty at the start of the season to begin with, but since Game Week 7, they're actually even better than City for expected goals conceded, and they're first in the league for that stat. So they've really tightened up. I was very surprised to see them concede yesterday. It was down to an individual error, which was actually United's only shot inside the box, that Sancho goal. Other than that, they didn't have a sniff all game. I personally think that Alonso and James is the double up to go for. They might be rested occasionally here or there. I think there's a good chance that James might get rested this week, in fact. But you've got to be on that double up. I think it's way too explosive. And even if they miss out, on the odd fixture, they will score the 12 or the 15-point haul to make up for it.
And the underlying implication there, Bakar, then I suppose, is a four-man defence, because if we also want Trent and we want Cancelo, that means four at the back going forward seems to be the preferable way to go.
I definitely think that is the case. When you look at Alonso, only James, Chilwell, Trent, and Cancelo have had a better XGI per 90 this season than him. Out of all defenders who've had like more than 4 starts this season. So I have absolutely no doubts in my mind that the potential that they offer at this point in time make them a must own at this point in time.
Yeah, frustrating owns in the Man United game, but as you say, very uncharacteristic. There were 2 big errors actually leading to chances in that Chelsea back line, which is unusual, but that's probably a good thing. Okay, West Ham versus Brighton. It was a difficult fixture for Mikel Antonio visiting the Etihad in game week 13. For those that have kept him, Bakar, I assume this is another don't sell going against Brighton.
I think I agree. I think the time to sell him is gone now. I was actually strongly considering it last week, James, and I kind of talked you into it. But I don't think this is the week to sell him now, because West Ham's fixtures, after Chelsea are much better. Even this fixture is a good one. This fixture historically has been full of goals at whenever they play at home to West Ham. So I'd expect West Ham to do well. Antonio, I mean, his stats have fallen off a cliff. Let me not mince my words here. But having said that, I mean, I still don't think there are too many tempting striker options available at the moment. Despite his recent run of blanks, 4 successive blanks, I think it is now, he's still best in the league for XG and forward. So we know what he's capable of when things are falling well for him and well for West Ham. So I assume they're gonna and hope they're going to come back into form as soon as the fixture swings.
Okay, no joy for Wolves against Norwich in game week 13, which meant that both Hwang and Jimenez blanked, much to the disappointment of their owners. They've got another great fixture, however, at Molineux, and it's against Burnley in that 7:30 Wednesday evening kickoff. Bakar, how do you see this game going for this pair of forwards?
I think this should be the last week for Jimenez and Hwang in your team if you already own them. Hwang has had like one shot in the previous 5 games, and he's just not getting the shots to suggest that he's going to have any kind of sustainable output in the weeks to come. Jimenez has been better; he's been more involved, but I noticed that. Their numbers have slumped quite a bit, and now with their fixtures coming up, Liverpool, Man City, Brighton, Chelsea, after their fixture at home to Burnley, I just think it's an obvious sell regardless of whatever they do this week.
Yeah, he's definitely on my transfer list after this game. Let's hope he can finish on a bang for his owners. We also have another 2 later kickoffs on the Wednesday evening, the first of which Aston Villa versus Man City. And wow, hasn't Gerrard turned things around, Bakar? Villa looking back to their old selves, but we've still got to focus on Man City. And it's these 3 midfielders you want to focus on: Foden, Bernardo Silva and Gundogan. Let's start with the former Phil Foden. Didn't appear in game week 13. Can you see him starting tomorrow, Bakar? Wednesday even?
Honestly, I think the only guy who knows the answer to this is Pep. But assuming that he wasn't even in the squad for West Ham makes me highly doubt that he's going to be fit to start. I mean, he might be available to be on the bench, but I don't think he's going to get a good run of minutes, or else he would have been at least on the bench. So I'd wait for the press conference tomorrow. That's the obvious move to make for those who have him. I think City are going to go on a good run of form, and I fancy them in the weeks to come. But obviously, at this point of the season, even if he's missing a week, that's like 3-4 game weeks, right? That's a lot for a player to miss. So I mean, if you don't own Jota, I'd probably pick him. If you own Jota and if you own Foden, and if Foden is declared unavailable, I would probably go to Gundogan over Bernardo. Bernardo is a good player, but I don't think he has the explosive potential that someone like a Gundogan does. Gundogan, among City players in his previous 3 starts, which is basically from game week 11, 12, and 13, he's top among all City players for shots in the box, XG, big chances, XGI. So he's posting them numbers, and his numbers are actually better than those of Bernardo. And we have seen last season, James, what Gundogan is capable of. And it was around this time, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So ahead of a fixture, like a similar fixture swing. So I wonder if that's something which we're going to witness again. And I firmly think that Gundogan is your man if Foden is unavailable.
Maybe he's a bit like Kane in that he really enjoys the wintry months, Gundogan. Who knows? I actually started the season with Gundogan. That's embarrassing retrospectively, but good to see that he's going back into some sort of form. And speaking of midfielders coming into form, let's move on to the other later evening kickoff on Wednesday. Everton versus Liverpool is, of course, the Merseyside derby. And you can't really look past this man at the moment, Bakar. Hang on a minute. The slides have decided to stop moving. There he is, Diogo Jota. Finally bought him in last week, and boy, didn't he reward me. 2 goals to follow his 1 goal in game week 12. He's just on fire at the moment, isn't he?
Absolutely. And my first advice to anyone watching the video this week would be, if you don't have Jota, just get him in somehow. I think he's the biggest priority transfer in the game at the moment, with the value he's offering at that price. In that Liverpool attack, who are statistically the best in the league for XG, big chances, shots inside the box. Jota himself, this season, James, he even has a better mins per expected goal involvement than even Salah, which just tells you about the potential he has when he plays. I mean, his numbers are on par with the Egyptian, in fact, if not better. So I would just bring him in with my eyes shut. I think this is the biggest no-brainer of all time.
Is it too early to be talking about potential differential captaincy on Jota?
I just feel that Salah is a bit more nailed, and he's a bit more nailed for 90. There's a tendency with Klopp that he might take Jota off early. So just because of that potential and the fact that Salah's on penalties, that gives Salah the edge, in my opinion.
Yeah, very sensible. I mean, Merseyside derbies have the tendency to be quite cagey affairs, but given the form that these 2 clubs are in, it's very difficult to imagine that this isn't going to go any other way than a convincing Liverpool win. Let's see, though. I've been known to eat my words before. Okay, on to Thursday's evening kickoffs, and it starts at 7:30 with Spurs versus Brentford. Hopefully, Bakar, this one will actually go ahead. If it does, it will once again be this pair of attackers, Son and Kane, that most FPL managers are banking on returns for.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, nothing really changes as with regards to Kane and Son. If you own them, just keep them. At this point in time, from the little information we have, from the little sample we've seen, I personally think that Kane is a better option than Son in terms of his positioning, in terms of his goal threat. But it doesn't take too much to change. It's a simple hold for me in case you have both.
If you had Ivan Toney in your team, as I know a lot of managers do, would you be looking to play him in this fixture, Bakar, or is this one of those where you potentially consider benching him?
I don't think this is the week to bench Tony. I think Brentford have a goal in them, maybe even two. I'm actually very confident that Brentford will score this week. Tony seems central to whatever Brentford have been doing of late. He didn't really have too much of an impact against Everton other than the penalty. His XG was minimal, but I look at him more like an all-rounded player. His assist potential is very underrated, and he's right up there among big chances created this season. He's a more complete player than someone like a Mbeumo. If you have Mbeumo, I think you can afford to bench him, but I would play Tony for sure. Having said that, I think if you own both of them, I would keep both of them, as both of them are likely to represent good value going forward. Despite the run of blanks from Mbeumo, I don't think it's an essential transfer to get rid of him. I think there will be more pressing moves to make in the future, more profitable moves to be made, because I just think it's a vanity transfer selling Mbeumo to someone in and around that price range, because no one in that price range is really putting up those numbers that seem sustainable. It's very hot and cold.
And he is ultimately still an out of position midfielder. We shouldn't forget, playing in a side that are capable of goals, as has been proven in recent games. Leeds and Watford after Spurs as well. So yeah, if I was an Mbeumo owner, I know you are, Bakar, I'd probably want to hold on to him at least for that little run before they face Man United and co. Okay, and the final fixture of the game week, Manchester United versus Arsenal, would have been a classic about 15 years ago. As such, not quite, more of a mid-table clash now. But in any case, Man United will, we've been confirmed today, be under new management. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes against Arsenal. And Cristiano Ronaldo, Bakar, finds himself on the precipice of an incredible fixture run. Should we be making room, at least team structure-wise, to be able to afford Ronaldo for when they do hit game week 16?
Ideally, we'd want to have a premium striker, someone like a Vardy or Kane to allow for Ronaldo in the future. But having said that, I'd give it a few weeks, give it a couple of weeks, give at least 1 week this week, just see what the manager sets up, like how Ronaldo is looking, because I'm not so sure how he's going to play in this pressing system, and the fact that it's December, he might get rotated in the weeks to come. United have an incredible fixture schedule, don't get me wrong, so I would want to have a bit more assurance after looking at Ronaldo and looking how he fits in the system. If he looks okay, then I think he's a very good buy ahead of that swing that United have from game week 15 onwards.
Bakar, if you owned Ronaldo, and there still are a couple of hangers on, would you be concerned that he was rested against Chelsea and actually Man United performed pretty well without him?
I think it was purely tactical. I think United are going to have more of the ball against Arsenal, and I'd expect him to come back in. I won't personally look to sell at this point in time now.
Wonderful. All right, Bakar, that concludes Game Week 14's fixtures. Thank you so much, mate, for joining me. I know you're very, very busy in these quick deadline turnarounds, so much appreciated for your time. Guys, there are a few decisions in FPL that you can make that are definitely going to pay off, but one of them is going to @BigManBakar on Twitter and Instagram.
Thank you.
And hitting follow. One of the best follows on social media if you're an FPL manager. Lots of stats-based research, like the kind of stuff that you've seen today. Guys, we'll be back. Probably Bakar will be back ahead of game week 15. We might well do it on the Thursday though, so we might film before we've seen the last 2 fixtures. I think that would be easiest. So guys, do look out for that. In the meantime, enjoy these midweek fixtures. Bakar, I would wish you luck, but now we're a little bit too close. And
a little bit too close for you to be doing that.
Exactly. Yeah. So I hope you do well, but not quite as well as me.
Okay. Cheers, buddy.
Thanks a lot for joining me, mate. Look forward to speaking to you later on this week. Guys, if you enjoyed this, hit the like button, and we'll see you again later on. Cheers.